In this chapter, we are going to have a quick walkthrough of Katalon Studio. We will see the GUI and the navigations. Along with it, we will see toolbars, settings, and preferences, and definitely the different modes of scripting in Katalon Studio. So let's get started. This is your GUI of Katalon Studio. First time, whenever you launch Katalon Studio, a welcome message would come up where you can see the version of the Katalon Studio that you are using. On the right hand side, you can see few basic tutorials provided by Katalon Studio itself for web, API, and the mobile based applications. On the menu bar, you can see few items like preferences. Here, for example, if you go to Katalon and go to here, you can have few options that you can select from, like what you want Katalon to do when you launch the tool. There are some other things related to mobile where you have to provide the path of APM that we will definitely cover in the chapters when we cover for mobile automation. Other few important things would be settings, which is under projects. So if you go to settings, here you can see some basic settings about the test case design. For example, if I go to test case design and under that test case, here you want to tell the tool what to do when a particular step fails. Do you want to continue from the fail step or you want to stop over there? So by default, the option is always continue on failure. So I leave it as it is. Another thing would be, for example, if you go to execution, here you can change the default runtime. For example, right, I can see my default browser is Chrome and it is enabled. So if I want to change the default browser to Firefox, to IE, Safari, and whatnot, I can choose from here. We will see it in the future chapter once we are doing parallel browser testing. For now, I'll just click on OK. First of all, whenever we start Katalon Studio, for the first time when you start it, you have to create a project. And this is the project folder that would be created on your local machine. And this is exactly the same path that you can see over here. So to create a project, go to File, click on New, and click on Project. Once the page comes up, you can give a desired name. Type, you can select it as web. Project, you can keep it as blank. And for example, when I type something over here, the name of the project, click on OK, and then a new project folder would be created. So initially, when a new project is created, all these folders would be empty. For example, if I go here, you can see a lot of the test cases because I have used this particular project folder to create a lot of projects over here. But initially for you, all the folders like the test cases, object repository, test suite, data file, keywords, everything would be blank. So this is first how we need to create a project. Second thing is we need to see what are the different things that is present on the toolbar, right? So for recording for web application, we have to use this option that is with the red icon over there, that is for recording the web. The next is for recording for mobile application, and the third option is for recording for desktop based application. All the other icons present next to all these icons is called as the SPI object. We will see in the future chapter what is the difference between a record and what is understood by SPI. So first of all, let's try to create a new test case folder. So initially all these folders would be blank. So once you start, all you need to do is right click on the test case folder and select a folder. You can give any meaningful name. So for this one, let's say I give some name. Okay. So this is just a folder. So folder is to organize your test cases. Once a folder is open and created, you can create multiple test cases inside it. So all you need to do is to click on the test case and give a meaningful name to it. So for example, I will say this feature or this test case is for login. Give a meaningful name and click on OK. So initially, when a new test case is created, of course, it would be blank, and that's why you can see everything inside the item, objects, input, output, everything is blank. So let us understand what is this template of the test case, right? Item is where you can see your recorded actions. Object is the element that that particular action is interacting with. Input would be any set of data that you are supplying, and output would be if you want to store any message or any data from the applications. So, for example, if I open an already created test case, for example, this one. So here you can see under item, there are several items over here. So basically these are the different actions. So actions is like open a browser, navigating to a URL, setting a text, click on a particular object, do some verify, close browsers. And these actions will definitely act on some of the web elements. So these are the web elements that will be captured during the record time. Remember this icon, record, web. Once you do a recording for a website, all these objects would be stored in a place called as object repository. These are all the objects of all the functionalities and all the different applications I have used. And input is when you are trying to pass some kind of input. For example, navigate to URL, then you need to key in the URL of the website over here. Okay. There are a few other things like test suite. So difference between a test case and a test suite is if you run a test case from the test case folder, the output will only come on the console, which will be on the bottom over here, which we'll definitely see in the next chapter once we do a simple record and playback feature of Katalon Studio. And that result will not be saved. If you want the result to be saved and to generate a nice report in HTML or CSV format, all you need to do is call the test case, this particular test case, any particular test case from here, call this test case in from a test suite folder. Then it will create a nice report for you. And data files is where you need to supply the data from, let's say, a CSV file or from a text file. For example, let's say here is some input, right? Proceed to. So instead of giving this like, a very static input or a hard-coded input, I can also read the data from a data file. For example, my user ID and password. There are some other features also over here, but we will discuss in depth on it once we go for that particular chapter. There are different modes in which you can do scripting in Katalon Studio. One is the manual mode, and the manual mode is the default mode, right? So whatever you see over here at the bottom, this is the manual mode. Scripting mode is where the same thing is getting converted into Groovy, and you don't have to do anything for it. Katalon will automatically do it once you do the recording. So if I go back to, so these are the two modes, manual mode and script mode. So manual mode is where you can, actually add a particular step. For example, let's say I want to add a particular step. All I will do is to click on the add button and it will ask me. So let's say I want to do a set text, right? I will do a set text, and here I have to apply or pass the object or the web element, which should have been already covered or downloaded into my object repository once I might have done the recording or via spy. And this is the input. So input, you can pass whatever input that you want. So this is the manual mode, and the best option or the recommended option to use Katalon is, because Katalon is to save time of scripting and of course definitely the execution. So we are not going to do the manual mode by key in all these steps one by one. What we will do is we will just navigate to the website and click on anything that we want the website or the application to be tested and to take any action, and all those steps would be recorded. So with that, this is the end for this chapter, and I will see you in the next chapter for record and playback feature of Katalon Studio.